Good morning, everyone. Welcome to American Scouser's morning coffee or tea with American Scouser. Morning coffee is here. It's Friday. We're doing green and loving it. And with us, our old morning partner over here is Trevor. Trevor, what's happening? What do we have on that side? Alan
We
is
got
with us always
we
as
got, we
well.
got a Coke Zero this morning.
Coke
Yeah.
Zero this morning. Okay, well, I see that the plant is alive and well and kicking, so that's good
It's
to
hanging
see. The
on.
cans are there, and the cans have friends. Like there's a bunch of stuff over
Yeah,
there
is
now.
it? I cleaned up the office a little bit, so there's just a bunch of knickknacks thrown around everywhere.
Well, it's good to have you back on the mornings, man. And some like stuff to get to, and I like just like watch the press conference and stuff. So we'll talk a little bit about that and the injuries and all that kind of stuff. But probably leave the game preview to Monday with the Polish Prince over here.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be odd, like a no sports weekend.
Mhm.
So I won't know what to do with myself. But Jazzy's coming home, so we'll probably be doing some family parties. So let's start with this. I honestly did not even know that Liverpool had posted this on their Facebook page. It was more of I don't know why, but it showed up on the feed now somehow. And obviously this was almost like brewing, like they like turned it on after posting this for getting the all-time leading scorer thing, which is a huge ordeal if you think about it. What has it been, like 39 years or something like that? I think it said 84 or something like that last it was done. And then of course, what was that, like the next day pretty much, right? Is when all the stuff gets released, the
The
collection
the
and
LeBron
all the,
collection.
the
Yeah.
jerseys and stuff like that. So, first, thank you, Alan. Says happy
Mhm.
birthday to me.
Mhm.
Yes, happy birthday to me and Keita. We're gonna be partying afterwards. I'm hoping he won't get injured, so he can still play Monday. But thank you, I appreciate that. Getting older and wiser as I go. So what do you make of this whole LeBron ordeal first? Let's dissect that a little bit, and then we'll talk about uh, the whole impact of the clothing line and stuff like that. So where are you at with this?
Yeah, it's something that proves both the because any type of accumulation records always kind of rewards longevity more than anything because yeah, you can score a million points a season, and conversely, in soccer, you can score a million goals, but you're never going to touch any of these records if you can't prolong your career. So the fact that he's been able to do what he's done for as long as he's done, in as many places as he's done, with the rotating cast of characters that he's done, is a testament to him. All of his histrionics and stuff aside, people can hate him for whatever they want to do. But if you look at that number, and that it's just something that a lot of people thought was never going to get touched because they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, Michael couldn't get to it even with 2 seasons out. Carl Malone played until he was basically falling apart at the seams to try, and he still fell short. And the fact that LeBron got there and he's still got probably two more at least halfway decent seasons in him before he goes into Robert Parrish mode, then I think that's a record that may never be touched again in our respective lifetimes.
Yeah, because I mean, you got to figure, yeah, you got to do it for a long time, and you got to be at almost like pretty much peak from the get
Yeah,
go. Like, I mean, not to mention, here's another thing: like, he started as a freaking teenager,
yeah,
and you got to start high and just keep going like that all the way across for years. And he's not a guy that has had a lot of injuries, and especially in this days NBA where people don't even play like when they are healthy
the
because they do
load
the rest
management,
day and stuff
brother.
like that. Yeah, so like the load management and stuff like that. And so yeah, I agree, it's going to be, you look at guys like, I don't know, like Steph and stuff like that, who's actually kind of like a late bloomer, for example, and he's already like missing a bunch of games. Same thing with Kevin Durant, like it would be another one maybe
Yeah,
potentially, but then he's missed a lot of time and stuff. I mean, here's my thing with the hate you were talking about. I'm a Lakers fan actually, but I've never been like a huge, like a LeBron fan. I mean, I'm only rooting for him because he happens to play for the Laker. But I'll be honest, like recently, especially like being in Chicago, there's a lot of Lakers hate. There's a lot of LeBron hate mainly because it's LeBron or Jordan and stuff like that. And if you say LeBron is really good, God forbid in Chicago, like you'll be like there'll be like public canings and stuff like that, because like how do you say blasphemy kind of a deal? That for one, and the second thing, and this has made me a bigger LeBron fan as I go over here, is he really pisses off the racist people because he doesn't just dribble. Is that? I mean, is that? I mean, do you agree to that? That those are like the main reasons he gets hate. I just don't see what other reason that he would get hate. I know he had the decision and stuff like that, but at the time that looked obnoxious, right, over the top. But then you look at Kyrie Irving now, and you were like, that was fucking nothing.
Yeah, I was just pissed at the time because he chose Miami over the Knicks. That's why. That's why he's dog shit in my head. But that's a personal preference. And yeah, the whole Jordan LeBron debate thing, that it's something that leave that shit for like First Take, where people want to just sit there and yell at each other and not have a conversation or a discussion or even a debate. It's screaming, and there's nothing that comes out of it other than just, oh, look at me, I got my clip, and I got 2.4 million views on Twitter for it. What I meant to say or anything in that clip, I don't fucking know, but it's there. Enjoy.
It's out for everyone to enjoy.
Yeah. I get what you're saying with in Chicago, because they immediately say, if you like say LeBron's good, they're like, what are you saying, he's better than Jordan? Like, no.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, relax.
He's good. Why are you inferring that immediately? Why is this such just like a reflex defense mechanism? But that happens in all sports though, where like say if we like commended a Manchester United player, like, what are you saying, he's better than Mo? What do you like? No, I'm just trying to say he had a good game. I can sit there and objectively say Bruno Fernandes had a good game and still think he's a piece of shit. There's two lanes I can drive in.
Yeah, I think that's especially in Chicago, that's like a big ordeal. They were like, how dare you say something like nice about like LeBron and stuff. And I think, I was like a huge Kobe fan, obviously being in Lakers like throughout and stuff like that. But I always find this comparison between eras really stupid anyway. Like, is it Maradona or is it Messi and stuff like that? I mean, they're playing totally different games. And I don't know if, or nobody can know what LeBron would do back in the day, where maybe like, the league was more physical and stuff like that. But at the same time, I mean, to me especially, LeBron doesn't get half the calls that Jordan did, because LeBron is a big dude and he doesn't get, if like Jordan happened to be like driving, it was automatic. It was either in or it was a free throw. I mean, there was no in between. Like, they can beat the shit out of LeBron sometimes as he's driving and he doesn't get called on. So it's got, it's so many things to compare. And like you're saying, it's like a great conversation for a ESPN First Take, where they can yell and say something today, and then 2 days later on a different show at night, they can yell and say something completely opposite what they said. Thing, but so that's here or there. But I think a lot of the hate he gets, especially in here. So let's start with the US, right? I think in the US, a lot of the hate he gets, and this is why I have become in defense of anti-racist people. I've been more of a fan of him, because people don't like that he's like just freaking dribble and stuff like that, and he says things and stuff like that. But so I think that's the part in the US. What I don't get is the hate that he gets in the UK. I'm not gonna even say Europe, because I think worldwide he's like a well-known name. Probably more people know him than maybe even like Liverpool in some places. But why do you think the hate is there? Is it just because he's American, represents like commercialization kind of stuff? Because I really don't get the hate otherwise from the UK side.
I think it's just another American that doesn't know anything about British sports, and that's why. And like you said, it's the UK, I think, is a nutshell more than anything, because they're very, very defensive about their entities, and the Premier League is their biggest one. If anybody tries to come, every American owner is a filthy American owner. They're useless. They don't know what they're doing. They don't respect the integrity of it. Well, while they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars, now that they're okay, but once, and we've talked about FSG ad nauseum about how just sitting there, you don't need to like do the printing funny money like these sovereign wealth funds, but when we need a midfielder, can you at least try? Show a little bit of initiative. If it doesn't come to fruition, that's great. Not everything happens. I'm an adult. I can deal with adversity and loss. That's fine. But when you sit there and it's 11:59 and you're going, oh, fuck, midfielder, Arthur, you come on, let's go. And that's the type of deal. I think it's just that opinion of people from the UK that just Americans have no idea what they're doing. And LeBron, even being a small minority owner of Liverpool, just kind of gets clumped into that of, oh, look at this guy coming in trying to throw his money around. I think his investment was pretty much just so he could line up for what we're going to talk about next. Yeah. I don't think he cares about the direction of the club. He doesn't. Okay, he may root for them out of some sort of weird fiscal loyalty at this point, but I don't think LeBron watches every single match and like lives and dies for it. So
yeah, no, I don't think he's getting up at like 4:30 over there in LA to watch like the Saturday morning game or anything. But I think here's the thing. Part of it is he is. What drives me nuts, I guess, is people have like a hard on because there was a Liverpool scarf in a TV show on a chair in the freaking background, and you see like 100 posts of that, and everybody's like, "Did you guys see the scarf? Did you guys see the scarf?" Yeah. And then the world's probably one of the world's most known and familiar athletes wears a Liverpool thing, sells a thing for Liverpool with Liverpool on it, and I understand he's making money off of it too, but so is Liverpool. Why the hates? Like, why you're so happy that freaking thing is there? Or when like an actor says, "Oh, they're like, oh, he's a Liverpool fan and stuff." Okay, great, but that's not making Liverpool money. At least this is making Liverpool money, is the way I look at it. And people bitched about it being ugly and I would never buy it, blah blah blah. And half the shit is sold out. So obviously there's a market for it, and a lot more people heard about Liverpool that maybe they never heard about before because they're just basketball fans and stuff like that. And two, it's money for Liverpool. So I don't know what's to lose here. Like, what is Liverpool possibly losing?
No, nothing. They're losing nothing. They're losing a little bit of dignity if you wear one of those basketball jerseys, because they look like a Bulls jersey that you get from the Savers at the lowest end of their delivery days. Yeah, I personally don't like them. That's fine by me. Like you said, they sold out. So there's a market for it. Yeah. It's just not me. So what the fuck do I care? I'm not going to like
marketing.
I'm not going to run around on the streets and see somebody and go, "Hey, why did you buy that?" Because it's not my business.
You even
I don't
a fan?
care. Yeah, it's not my business. I don't care. I'm not going to buy it. I'm going to spend my money through the club elsewhere, merchandise-wise. There's a million options. I can get jerseys. I can get shirts. I can get jackets. I don't need to buy the LeBron gear. But like you said, there's a market for it, and they've kind of knocked it out of the park with that. So my opinion has zero bearing on it at all. They are not marketing to me. They do not care if I don't like it.
Yeah, because we're already buying the jersey. We already have, different stuff marketed to us. And then this is marketed to others. And, and obviously it was successful. Perfect timing. I mean, if you look at it, it's probably a good case study for any marketing book over here. He broke the record. A day later, they're like, poof, How about this stuff? Isn't
Oh, well,
LeBron
you know,
great?
this
Look what
rumored
he's
collection
wearing.
just
And the shit
magically
is
appeared
gonna
out of thin
go,
air.
and Liverpool gets money off of it. Why do we even care? There's the same thing with the Nike hate that I don't understand. Hey, if you have a New Balance jersey and if you use it actually for playing soccer, I'll tell you right now, it's shit. That some of that print and stuff peels off after a certain number of washes. So don't give me this. Oh, New Balance stuff was so much better and all that. Because trust me, if you're wearing it to actually play the game, and like you're wearing it every week and getting it washed every week, yeah, those numbers like the silver. I was wearing that neon toxic green one for the longest time, and yeah, it did not last as well. So. And same thing happens with jerseys. They're like, "What is this? Nobody's gonna buy this," and then fucking like 3 other million buy it. And it's like Zay says, like their kits are generic. I think it's because it's a bigger company and they do it for a lot of people. And yeah, they don't do it like maybe as specialized and stuff. But that really goes with the club. I feel like we can. Well, see, this could be it. We had more success wearing those. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. But I mean, yeah, that's because we only have. I guess it could be like, all like it brings back the good old days kind of a deal. But I don't know. I wear some jerseys and I've actually seeked out and bought some old retro jerseys when we were pretty much shit. We weren't winning anything then, but I really liked it. That was like one of my favorites. Some of my like the guys I really liked wore it. So I went to bought it. I just feel like there's people make it like a huge fashion thing, like they're the expert, they're this. I think this goal goes back to everybody thinks they're the center of the universe. I don't like teal, damn it. Like, okay, but another couple of billion people do, so nobody cares that you don't like teal. Somebody's gonna buy it. There's a reason next year it's gonna be freaking purple, because you probably like purple and the other people don't like it. So it's all, I don't understand why people so find it hard to understand that it's all freaking marketing at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's the long and short of it. There's been market research done. There's stuff that has gone out there, and they've dipped their toes in the waters enough to get a gauge of what will be able to sell. Yeah, there's certain ones that don't sell as well. Like sometimes they kind of take those risks with the third kits. That's great and everything, but they'll always find a home more often than not.
And this is probably true. And I think this goes, Zaid says also Nike represents capitalism to the working class of Liverpool demographic. I think that's true because it's a bigger company. I think that's the same thing for LeBron, like one of some of the party gates.
Yeah, at
but
that point,
it's not like New Balance is owned
no,
by...
but at that point though, then you have to like make the kits yourself in house. Like you have people at Anfield stitching
what number
everything.
do you want on this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, but in terms of
perception,
I think Zahid is right. Like Nike is more like Nike, whereas New Balance, he's one of us. Like, because they're not as big, but it's still a freaking company making gazillion dollars.
Yeah.
So it's
Nike's the guy. Yeah, Nike's the guy that runs you over in an Aston Martin, where New Balance is the guy that runs you over in a nice Tesla. I guess. You're still getting hit by a car. You just it's what price was the car that hit you?
Yes, it's, and like I say, a lot of it is obviously like perception too, and I do agree it is part of it's what it represents. But I mean, they're all big companies. You have to go with a big company that's going to be able to keep. One thing that I like with Nike is I see more Liverpool jerseys out there than I did when New Balance is there. I would go to New Balance stores and they wouldn't have any, because New Balance is not big on apparel. Whereas Nike, I mean, you can find it at Dick's, you can find it all over the place. And, we're going to find it anyway. And once again, that goes to marketing. We're going to freaking find it. We're not the target market for that stuff. We're going to go to Anfield shop. We're going to get it directly from the club, whatever it is. We're going to find it because we're going to go search it. But a dude just happens to be walking around and says, "Oh, that looks cool," and then buys it and finds out about Liverpool store and stuff. That's kind of like what we're more after, and that's what the benefit to the club, I think, is. But so let's talk about the benefit to the club and what we got going on over here. So, I mean, this was bound to happen, right? So you play this guy this many games, 89 minutes a pop, 92 minutes, 87 minutes, and lo and behold, Thiago has like a hip flexor or something along those lines. He
Yeah.
was very vague about what it was. He said, I don't know if like I can even talk about it, or like it almost sounded like they said, hey, Thiago is hurt again. And he didn't, he was like, okay, whatever. Like, I don't want to hear the other. It's like that employee that's always late. And then they're like, yeah, Joe is going to be late again. And you don't want to even know the reason. You're like, whatever, man. He's always fucking
Yeah,
late.
I don't care that your car didn't start. I don't care that your dog pooped on your shoe. It just get in there.
So he is slightly hurt, but at the same time, you can see like the headline there. There's some good news in terms of Jota probably maybe making it to the bench. Sounds like, at least in this game, which in a game like this where I expect it to be tight, it is good to have a guy who can come in and pop in a surprise goal out of nowhere or create something out of nowhere. Virgil and Bobby and Arthur, I think, is practicing as well, coming in soon. Out of all, like, I'll just give you 4 names, one that you want to get back more than the others.
Well, a full strength Virgil, I think, is the most important of them, even with the season he had, just because I think we need bodies. As much as we malign how we need bodies in midfield and up front with those injuries, having that stability at the back with Virgil, even if he's at 80%, I think is helpful, because Matip has fallen off a cliff, and Gomez, without anybody stable beside him, is just completely useless. And but I think I agree with you to an extent that Jota, I think, is the most important, just for somebody to be dangerous off the bench, because all of our subs in like the past 4 matches have just been subs because I guess we have the ability to make substitutes. There's been no plan or rhyme or reason to it. It's just, hey, we get 5 of these things, let's use them. And sometimes not even all of them. So it's to have a guy that you can actually kind of go, okay, in the 65th minute, we can bring Jota on. He can just go ball so off for 25 minutes. And we can utilize him in a way where we may actually get something out of it. That excites me a bit, rather than just, oh, here comes Milner to sit and pass the ball sideways for 20 minutes and hopefully not break his leg or break somebody else on the other team's leg. That's pretty much when you bring him on there, or you bring Harvey Elliott to play in the midfield. They're like, okay, it's just a body at that point, because you're playing him in an unnatural position and he's not going to be able to do anything to help you. So yeah, Virgil for the starting, Jota for the bench are the two that I want to see come back the most of that 4. Because I agree that Diaz back is the game changer, but he's not part of that foursome.
No, and I think, I mean, the closest is like mid-March now and when somebody's shooting for mid-March, knowing Klopp and how we roll and how we do with these things overall, I would say end of March is probably what is looking more and more likely for Diaz at the moment. And I think that's why the situation with Jota, Bobby, and Diaz is pretty much why we signed Gakpo in the first place. And obviously the pricing and stuff worked out too. But I am looking forward to Bobby returning from that gang as well. I think, Jota, like I say, for this week will be great. It's kind of like a person to bring in. But overall, I really want to see Bob. I feel like once Bobby's up top in the middle, our press and defending from the front will get better. I think we'll be more dangerous going forwards. Because right now it's kind of like a hot mess of, let's see what you can do kind of a thing where it's like 1 against 4, like 1v4 at all times, it feels like. I think Bobby will kind of like bring those pieces together. One reason we find, I think, like Mo so isolated at times is because, Bobby not being there to get into interplay, or the spacing that Bobby creates, the open holes that Bobby creates that Mo can run into behind and stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to him returning. Looks like, I mean, he's already practicing, but it's just a matter of like seeing how he reacts to full practice. So it doesn't sound like it would, definitely would not be Let's take a look at the schedule over here, but definitely not going to be for the Everton game. Our next game is next Saturday at Newcastle. And then obviously we have the first game with Madrid on February 21st. So when do you expect to, like, not your hope, but your realistic part of Trevor, when do you think we're going to see these guys back? Newcastle game, Madrid, or Crystal Palace?
Yeah, I'd say we're probably going to get half of them back, at least for the bench, in either of the next two games, either Everton or Newcastle, just because I think the urgency of the Newcastle game has kind of, we've all talked like how it's not necessarily like a lost season, but it's not this we need to fight for our lives at this point anymore. It's kind of just a accepting of our fate.
But really, you giving up on the top four, huh?
It's not that I've entirely given up on the top four. I still see Europe as a possibility, but my eggs are entirely in the Champions League basket at this point. Just me personally,
yeah,
because I think Madrid is probably their most vulnerable right now. They're going into it fairly beat up, and they have a lot of guys misfiring on their own front. But out of the cups, league form trash. It's I want everybody to kind of be on hand for the Madrid game. So I think trying to ease at least a couple guys back this weekend. If Virgil's not 100%, don't even risk him, because Everton will smell that blood in the water, and I don't need to see Pickford into Virgil 2.0. I've drank way too much.
Especially a team coached by Sean Dyche now.
Yeah. And people that are thinking that it's more of an easy game now that Dyche is in instead of Lampard, you never watched a Liverpool-Burnley game then, because those, especially those 7:30 a.m. starts at Eastern time, and those early games against Burnley, they always sucked. They were horrible to watch.
Yeah.
They were always stressful. Even if it ended up being like a 2-0 game, you lost a player to injury, or it was always a war of attrition.
Yeah.
It sucked. I hated them, and now he's back, and I hate it even more because he's now at Everton, and it sucks. But yeah, I think Jota coming off the bench and getting Bobby back for Madrid is big, because that's, I think, a place where he could really shine and get a lot of space to be creative and kind of just bring the best out of Darwin and Mo in a game where we could, if that first leg could go in and really impose our will with him kind of pulling the strings, I think could really change our fates in that competition.
Yeah, I think like what makes it tricky is, in an ideal world, I think you have him come in the Newcastle game, maybe like the 60th minute or something like that, and get 30 minutes in, because their first game definitely won't be against Real in the Champions League. So ideally they would come in that Newcastle game, get like 30 minutes and stuff, and then hopefully like get to start against like Madrid. I think a guy like Van Dijk you can put out there, a guy like Bobby you can have faith to put out there and stuff and say, okay, now you're starting just because of the experience. And that's the thing that you match up mostly with, like when you play Real, is a lot of experience over there, because to them, I mean, let's check that out real quick and give you some like stats over here too, but I'm pretty sure they're Spain, they're kind of like really falling behind, aren't they? From what I know, because every time I look up, Barcelona squeaks in a win. Yeah, I mean, they're like 8 points behind now after 20 games, and they're 38 games, they're halfway point, but they're like way behind. So this is something for them as well, kind of like what you're saying for us. I think it's the same scenario for them a little bit too. They're like, okay, this is our main thing, focus on the Champions League. So they're going to come out with a totally mindset, kind of like how we're going to. Daesh is a Liverpool fan, says Zahid. Daesh is a douche, is what I say. I couldn't stand that dude at Burnley. Yeah, it's a double whammy now that he's with Everton. I just hate his voice, hate his freaking tone, hate his soccer, like what he has his teams play. And I realize, I mean, he gets the most out of what he's given in poor situations. Look what he did with Burnley and stuff. So I understand maybe that's the only way he can do it, but I don't have to like it, and I despise him big time. So that's where I'm at with that. So before we head out over here, give me a prediction of what you expect to see on Monday. Like I say, Monday morning, I'll be back with the Polish Prince over here, the morning coffee show, and we'll probably talk a lot about it then. But let's get your take on it.
I think it's going to be an ugly game. I don't.
That's not a prediction.
No, it's coming.
That's just pointing out the obvious.
I'm just gonna say ugly and then just walk off camera. But I don't think it's more than it's either going to be a 1-0 or a 1-1. I don't think there's going to be a ton of goals, even with Everton being as inept and putrid as they have been. They're solid at the back. They whether it be through actual defensive tactics or just beating the shit out of people. I hope it's a little bit more of the former. If we're going to get stopped with just with talent and not force, but yeah, I'm gonna lean towards the 1-0, but there will not be more than one goal for either team.
I can go with that prediction. I one thing is, like, when I heard, it's odd that when I saw the news about Thiago and Jota, I was more actually excited overall than depressed overall, because maybe I saw the Thiago thing coming. We've been talking about it for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah.
It's getting way too many minutes kind of deal. And the other part is, I don't think in a game like this, I don't know if I want Thiago out there. I know Henderson has not been his best, and same for Fabinho and stuff, but against a team like Everton, I really like Henderson out there. Yeah. Just somebody who gets it, who understands it. And honestly, like, watching these last couple of games, I really feel like we're missing a voice out there on the field. The team at times looks, when Henderson comes in, he might not play great, but the energy he brings, the attitude he brings, I think is something like needed for this game. Not only because it's an Everton game, but it's an Everton game played against Sean Douche over here as well. Zaid says choosing violence today. Well, I'll tell you what, I woke up this morning and I realized I'm only a fucking year away from being 50. So yeah, it could be a rough day for everyone. Well, Trevor, let's hope you're right. At least we get the 1-0-1. But like I say, we'll be back Monday morning. Well, I'll be back Monday morning with the Polish Prince over here. And then hopefully we'll have a post-match as well as the Monday night podcast, where hopefully we'll be celebrating something good. Finally, I can use some stuff to cheer things up. Thank you, Zahid. It's birthday bash today. Me and Keita hanging out, so I'll make sure like he gets back to camp in time so that he can make the Monday game, because now he definitely probably will be starting if he wasn't already. But thanks a lot again, Trevor. Thanks to all those listening. Give us a like, give us a share. Make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, and we'll be back Monday. Have an awesome weekend. The good news is you will not have any sports disappointment this weekend. You can just enjoy the entire weekend, not worry about Liverpool, not worry about anything else, and have a great weekend out there. See you guys.